Police Chief Darrin. Moody, first, good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, my gosh. Dale's in here, too.
Dale's going to start.
Look at that. That's a nice-looking 49ers hat there.
Yeah.
So what's going... Oh, and your 49ers.
Yes,
so you got everything. So what's going on here? How are you doing today? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you guys over here. We're excited to start the new year over in Shelton.
Yeah.
Good times.
It's going to be a good new year, new things happening.
A lot of new things happening. A lot of new things throughout the city and at the police department.
Yeah, for sure. Let's quickly just talk about some of the stuff that we are talking about in the news today. Over this past year, you saw a couple employees resign or retire. You got a couple folks from the Reserve Academy that look likely and able to step into those periods. So how are we looking with the staffing? There shouldn't be any kind of visual drop in presence.
No, you won't notice any difference. To the benefit of the commission, a couple years ago, they allocated some money for a reserve academy. First one in a long time. We graduated 7 reserves out of that academy. And out of that, 2 took jobs at other agencies, which is anticipated. They become a reserve for about a year. They look for other jobs. We didn't have any openings. But as such, we get to see the reserves, see who they are, see their work styles, see how they fit in. And luckily for us, during this time of transition, they stepped right into the role. We hired them on, sending them off to the academy, hiring them as provisional officers. Local guys with families ties in town that aren't going anywhere.
What does that mean to have someone local stick around and be on the police force? I know that, was it this year that Les Watson retired? Was that 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
And he was a local guy for sure, long time around the area.
It's hard to replace folks like that because they own the community. It's not somebody just coming in looking for a job for a couple years, as people call it, a training ground, and go off into bigger and better things. These people grew up here or their families here. I just had a guy come in the other day from Idaho. He's a police officer in Idaho who grew up in Shelton. And he says, I'm interested in coming back to Shelton. Would you have... And for me, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's here visiting mom and dad for Christmas. His wife's from here. You couldn't ask for better.
That is good. Looking at some other things over this past year, we saw that potentially, I guess we'll say, 3 lives were saved using Narcan. This is the thing that the officers now have on with them to reverse the effects of an opioid overdose.
Right. And we're getting folks from other agencies contacting us now saying, let me see your policies. What are you doing? And I was the first to admit I wasn't a proponent of this, but after seeing what it's done, and the guys on the street are saying, it works. There's no reason not to do it.
Wow.
And so hopefully we don't have repeat customers. We give somebody an opportunity to change their life. So
that's pretty impressive. Finally, you had, in addition to what you learned about using the Narcan, about 700 hours of police training to add to. And is that per person, or is
no.
No.
If you average it out, looking at, some people had more, some people had less, but in average, every officer down there last year had somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 hours a year of training.
Wow.
Which hasn't happened in a long time, and it's nice that we were able to do that, get the certifications back up to date. It's hard for us to send folks to long-distance training repeatedly because of the cost. And so when we can send somebody out to learn how to be a defensive tactics instructor, to learn how to be a verbal judo instructor, things along those lines, and then come back and teach it, it adds even more value to it.
Saw some drops in thefts and burglaries, 25 less burglaries this past year, 17 less assault victims. Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with the police department and the county when it comes to the jail. That's where you guys send your folks, right?
Yes, we do.
And so we have heard some information from Sheriff Salisbury about the jail, and they're going to kind of really restrict it to the amount of folks in. I believe it's 74 now, and if that's the limit, then that's going to be the limit. Have you guys talked about how you're going to deal with that?
Sheriff Salisbury and I have had some very in-depth conversations over the last several weeks. And I'll tell you, I told him, it's unfortunate that you have a county commission and a sheriff's department that can't come together to resolve an issue where their biggest stakeholder is held hostage and we can't book at the jail.
Yeah.
And we are the biggest stakeholder for the county. We're the only city in the county. We do look at other options and go, okay, if we were to book elsewhere at other jails, is that an option? Sure it is. But how do I get them over there?
Yeah.
How does an officer at 3 o'clock in the morning when they arrest somebody get them booked into a jail an hour away? So Sheriff and I are working together trying to resolve this. I'd look at it as we're trying to move forward in building a new jail eventually, which is well overdue. Should have been done years ago. But I look at it and I tried to give an example to the sheriff of, look at what Alex Apostle's doing with the school bond. The way you get this passed is you are lockstep with your school board, as Alex is with the superintendent, the school board on board, the community on board. I have no doubt that we're going to pass a bond and have some outstanding programs in the schools in the future. Same thing would go for the county. We got to get lockstep. We got to get together on this and quit fighting about it.
I mean, would there be a way? Do you know how many folks or so you have that Shelton Police has sent to the county jail?
Well, I couldn't tell you exactly how many we've sent over the year, but I can tell you our average daily population, this includes folks that are sentenced for misdemeanors and daily arrests, 10 to 12. So, in the big scheme of things, well, that's our average daily population. We may only book one person a day, or we may book nobody. But our average population in that jail is 10. Those can be people sentenced for DUI, misdemeanors, things along those lines, and your daily arrest. So I look at it and say, okay, in the big scheme of things, our 10 to 12 people, is that going to close the jail?
Sure.
So we try to get together. We're working on it, and it's coming up with small.
That'll be an interesting year moving ahead with that issue for sure. Sunday is the first of the year. We have got the 2017. We're flipping the banners. We're writing new checks. We got a big football game. It's a must-win for the Seahawks, and I know the 49ers would love to play spoiler on this.
You know what? I think so. We had a miserable season.
A miserable
season.
Good game last week.
Cleveland won one, and I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be tied with Cleveland for the and then we won.
And
in fact, I was reading rumors of Chip Kelly going back to Oregon even.
Already, huh? Is this the first year for him? Second year?
First year.
Yeah.
First year. And I heard Phil Knight, the big Nike guy in Oregon, is calling him back and saying, come on back to Oregon.
Yeah, they got
rid
of their coach.
Yeah.
So
this could be the first year that back-to-back firings at 49 or leave.
Is this so? What's the 49er Nation saying about Chip Kelly and this year that you guys had 2 wins all season long? And is everybody hanging in tough, or?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think it really is. He's had a tough time in the pros.
Yeah.
He was very successful in college, and his pro career has just gone up and down. And he doesn't have the staff that he had. He doesn't have the players that he had. I mean, they've all moved, traded, otherwise.
Right.
And it's hard to bring that together in 1 year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that you have quarterback controversy that goes on.
Yeah.
On the field and off the field. That can't help.
So Kaepernick's now the starter. He's back at the starting position. Throughout the season, the first starter was, I don't even remember. Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah.
Was he the starter because of the Neal controversy, or was he the starter because he earned that job?
I think he was a starter because Kaepernick was still recovering from surgeries and injuries. And that's the official.
Yeah.
Who knows what the real story is?
Sure. Well, what is San Francisco going to do Sunday to stop the Seahawks? Seahawks got to win this one, and they got to get help from Atlanta to get that number 2 bye. I don't think Atlanta's going to lose.
Yeah, it'd be tough. They're playing at home. And
against New Orleans, though.
Yeah, you never know.
They could always flip the switch anytime. So
and I think that it's funny. We watched the 49er games all year, and they play the first half, and you're thinking we are in there. And then that second half, the wheels fall off and everything just tumbles. I think if they can just hold it together for 2 halves of football like they do the first half. And look at the Seahawks. Russell's had a tough time this year.
It's not going to be easy.
That offensive line's having a tough time keeping them back.
Woof. Yeah. Real glaring weakness for Seattle is that offensive line.
And they always have good games, the two teams, so it'll be interesting to watch.
Well, I bet it's going to be a close game. It'll be a barn burner. It'll be really exciting.
I got to get some numbers here from you guys. Predictions and scores. I got Dale and Bud last hour on the Bama-Washington game, so now I got to get you guys on the San Francisco-Seattle game.
I think it's going to be higher scoring than people think. I think, I'm guessing somewhere around, let's say, Niners over the Seahawks.
Let's say Niners over the
somewhere around, let's say, 31-28. Somewhere around there.
Exciting game.
Yeah.
There is no way the defense of Seattle is going to give up 31 points to the 49ers and to Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting too sensitive about Kaepernick now? So I'm 27-10.
Wow.
over the Niners.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Well, both
So
great scores.
You'll be wearing a 49er hat, or I'll be wearing a Seahawk.
Exactly.
Next time we see each
That's,
other.
yes,
Okay.
that's
Tuesday.
Right. Exactly right.
Tuesday, you guys can come in and collect on those if you wish.
It'll be good into the season. Good
Yeah,
into the
regardless.
Year,
Yeah.
Start the new year off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be exciting. I hope this weekend turns out better than last weekend.
I sure do, too, as well. All right, Chief Moody, good to talk with you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank you for all you do. You
door's
have had
always
a great
open.
year, and keep it going.
We're excited to start it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It'll be good.
Yep.
Do you know you have access to the fastest internet in Washington State? Switch to iFiber Communications right now and take advantage of our special offers. Pay only $29.95 for 100 megabit high-speed internet, or get 3 months of internet absolutely free. That's right, $29.95 for 100 megabit speeds or 3 months of internet free. Shop, stream, and game like never before with iFiber Communications high-speed internet. Call 360-427-4000 or check us online at ifiber.tv. Subject to credit approval. Valid on a 24-month contract.